How's it going, humans? And welcome to the continuation of my studio renovation. Last time we took the room apart and made an ugly room into an even uglier room. On this episode, we're going to start putting it back together, put in some floors, do some electrical.
Oh, holy f***, what the hell is in there?
And maybe we'll do some painting. We'll see how it goes. So let's turn on those headlamps and get to work. So the first thing I have to do is get this new subfloor down. So I'm just using 1/2" standard ply for this. A lot of people might say you need to use tongue and groove and make a whole solid piece, but we're not gonna do that because let's be honest, it's an old house and it's an old house. So with using my track saw, I was able to cut down all of my sheets and get them fit into place. So with everything cut to test fit in the fit with testing, I could then pull it all back up, clean the floors, and do the thing that any future homeowner who's going to try and take this out will hate me for, which is glue it in place. So with a totally adequate amount of glue down, definitely not too much, I was able to put my subfloor in place and screw it down. So I'm using some 3" or 3.5" floor screws to go straight into the joist. And for good measure, I'm putting some more screws in the middle just to go into the plank board. Because why not? It'll be fun. Everybody likes screwing the floor, right? Screwing on the floor, right? So with the rest of the flooring all glued and screwed, so much screwing. The next task was to tackle some drywall sanding, where I enlisted my new SurfPrep sander. Now this was before he had a name. This was before Herbert was Herbert. And it was one of my first tests. And it worked really, really well. So way to go, SurfPrep. I doff my hat to you. So with the sanding done and another coat of mud applied, the next thing to do was tackle the electrical. So the plan here is to add an outlet and a data run into the closet, because the closet is where I'm going to put my desk for my computer gear. So we need to get it all powered up so we're not running extension cords, because those are bad. So with ensuring the power is off, I could pull apart this outlet and start figuring out how I was going to run a line into the closet. Oh no, gone forever. Oh no. Let this be a lesson. Clean out your air returns? What the? Oh god, what is that? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, do you see what? Oh my god, I touched it. Oh, holy fuck, what the hell is in there? Let's see what's in here. Oh my god. Ew. It's a dinosaur. Might keep that. Oh god, what else? It's like toys. Oh, this is why you don't have kids. Or if you have kids, put the air return cover on. Maybe a good idea. Let's forget. Boring. It's normal. Oh, that's an Easter candy. I want to know why there's a bite taken out of that. Neat. So that was a fun little experience. I then spent the next 20 minutes disinfecting my hands, and now I could continue on with my electrical project. So since I'm going to be painting these walls anyway, and I'm not afraid of mudding, I decided to cut a couple of really big holes so I could find my studs and just make it a lot easier to run a wire through the wall. Now I got really lucky here because there was already a hole with a wire running through it, and there wasn't a stud in between the two studs that I needed to go through, if that makes sense. So I spent some time trying to fish some wood through and find the holes, but that wasn't working out so well. So the problem was on the right side, the hole was really tight because it had a couple wires running through it. And on the left side, it was a little bigger, looser, because it only had one wire running through it. So I then came up with $1 million idea. We're going to take a short stick. We're going to tape magnets, and we're going to shove it through on the right side. And then we're going to take board and we'll tape magnets on this side, and we'll put it through that hole. And then the two sticks should click together. Let's try this. So I know the audio went out a little bit there, but I wanted you guys to actually hear the moment of creative inspiration behind this idea. So we take one stick with some magnets and we shove it through one hole. And then we take another stick with more magnets and we shove it through the other hole. And the magnets should touch at the tips. It's on it. It's on it. And then we can yank the wire through on one of the holes. So now I formally introduce Magnatip. Patent pending? God, I hope this product doesn't already exist. 1 million IQ today. I can't believe that worked so easily. Magnets. So with my wire fed through, I could then start figuring out how I was going to get my data run. So I drilled a hole in the floor, which just goes through the bottom plate and into a void, hopefully, in the ceiling below. It's going to come out somewhere there, because I was the smart person that already finished this ceiling. So to figure out where my hole went, I took some wire and shoved it down the hole and went into my furnace room and poked around a little bit. So you can't see it, but it's there somewhere down there. I can see it, but I don't know how to turn on the flashlight when the camera's going, but it's there, I promise. So I have no idea where any other headlamps are. Happening. With the magic of dinosaur headlamps, see the yellow? See? That's what we gotta get. So figuring out how we're gonna pull it, and I just happen to have like these things right here. And maybe it's long enough. So we're gonna find out. So got it hooked. So, line pulled back, pull string attached, pull string. So with the pull string pulled through, which was a atrocious mistake, I should have actually just connected wire to it, because I then spent the next 20 minutes, half an hour, dealing with the string being stuck on a corner. If you know what I mean. There's like a joist and the string got stuck. So after a lot of yanking and curse words, I was able to get my Cat 6 line pulled up into my void. I could then connect up my electrical box, and I did secure my Cat 6 line because I do need to reach in and find it later. At this point, I put my panels back on and drywalled them back into place, and I could now start to figure out where I was putting my ceiling lights. And I was also told I should put some pot lights in the closet to illuminate my desk. So with the ceiling light, I wanted to move it to the center of the room. I understand the concept of having it in front of the closet so you can illuminate the closet, but I wanted it centered. So I grabbed my handy dandy laser cross level thingamadoo and found the center of my room. So with that marked, I used some magnets to find the screws that hold the drywall to the joists, so I knew where my joists were. just to make sure that the center of the room wasn't going to land right over a joist, because that would be bad. Next, I drilled out my pilot hole and shoved a long piece of wire through, all the way up through the insulation in the attic to make it a whole lot easier to find. So with that figured out, I also went into the closet and figured out where I was going to put the pot lights, somewhere about here. That'll be good. So since I'm putting in new lights, I wanted to make sure that they were vapor barriered with these vapor barrier boxes, but I find they're way too big. So I did some arts and crafts. I cut them down about in half or in a quarter, because that's really as big as it needed to be. Now to make sure they were going to fit properly, I had to give them a quick test fit. Don't I look pretty? Next, it was time to get suited up and go into the attic like a spaceman going on a mission. Now, I don't have any shots of me in the attic because anybody that's been up in an attic knows it's not the time to film stuff. You just need to focus on not falling through the ceiling and get your job done. So after a couple of hours of wiring in the attic, I then realized I needed to paint the ceiling. So I painted the ceiling. With the painting done, the next thing on the list was to hook up the light in the center of the room. So I did some electrical wizardry that I'm not going to show you. Then it was time to cut out the holes for the pot lights.
The vacuum didn't do much.
Now when I was in the attic, I also ran a line down for a light switch. So I'm going to cut a little hole in the wall here and try and fish out this wire. Now, since this is in the middle of the wall, I'm going to use one of these retrofit device boxes, which are pretty cool. So they just clamp right onto the drywall and they're perfectly decode. So I'm gonna wire this bad boy up with a fancy little dimmer switch because maybe I want some mood lighting in my closet office. You don't know. You don't know. But before we do that, it's time for some high-speed painting. Wow, so watching someone paint is about as boring as watching someone sand, but the idea is to run this light green around these walls and this window wall here, and then hit these two walls with a dark green. So with the light green done, it's been a while since I made a mistake, so I figured that I should pick the wrong paint color that doesn't actually work right in this room and paint on a coat of that dark green, and then I'll come back and repaint it with the correct green, because it's always fun to do things 3 times instead of just twice. Because, you know, 2 coats of paint, 2 coats. Now with everything all freshly painted, the last thing to do was wire up these pot lights and shove them in their holes. In the ceiling. The ceiling holes. Dirty people. Now with my dimmer light installed and everything connected in the ceiling, it was time for the moment of glory. Dimmable glory. Oh yeah. Now I think I keep saying the last thing, that this is the last thing and that's the last thing, but this really is the last thing. So the last thing I did was wire up my data drop, and these are really cool and really simple. And just read the instructions and you can probably do it yourself. You look at colors and you use this little punchy tool and you just like punch it in. IT's not that difficult. They just want you to think it is. So there we go. We did a lot in this video. We put in some floors, we did some electrical, we ran some data, we did some painting. We almost got a concussion. Yeah, hang on, I'll show you that in a second. And the room is finally starting to come together. On the next episode in this series, I'm gonna make some cabinets for the back wall, some like built-ins. They're gonna be sweet and green. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Oh! Oh, fuck. Ow. Oh, that that sucked. Oh. I almost bit my tongue off. Yikes. Concussion maybe. Those are fun. Those are not fun. Oh, that hurt.